You though.
Here I am.
Got you.
You mentioned evacuation. What I would like to know in areas from there, to say below Rippling River, to the town, to Mid-Valley, how far should we go in planning evacuation?
Okay, Sheriff, you want to answer that?
I think the question is, how far should you plan ahead, or how far should you go? Geographically? You should always be ready, no matter how far. Is this north, south, east, or west? How far west you are of the village, and no matter how far north you are, you should always be ready. And everybody should be ready right now. In Carmel Valley, everybody should be ready.
Good afternoon, I'm Brendan Blue. I'm the local unit chief here for San Benito, Monterey. So, as I understand your question, what areas could possibly be affected by the evacuation? So we currently still have a lot of fire all the way from Rancho San Carlos all the way out to Cashawa. We do have some really good line that's gone in. As you can see by the smoke that has been sitting over the community for the last couple of days, the smoke is cleared and most of the smoke is out in that way. But we still don't have the fire completely contained. So everybody in Carmel Valley, from the mouth of the valley all the way out to Cashawa, needs to be prepared and be ready to evacuate if a warning is issued.
Thank you, Chief Blue, for bailing me out.
All right, we've got time for one more question, and then again, a lot of the questions have been very specific for people, and you're going to have a much better opportunity to go to the maps on the walls and talk to people one-on-one and get those questions addressed.
Is that backburn under control? Yes. Very specific
Seeing
question.
how this is the area where we all see the smoke right now, I would like to get an idea of what kind of resources are being used to help the fire in Cashawa in comparison to what was used for the Highland, because that's the area that seems to need a lot of attention immediately.
Okay, we have a lot of the aircraft that you saw flying over. We have the tankers, we have several strike teams of engines, several strike teams of crews, and several strike teams of dozers, all in the area, very specific area, all there on shift until the completion of the burning operation. It's not completely dependent on Mother Nature and the windows with moisture factor when it will burn.
It seems the water's going to Rancho San Carlos and the flames are over there.
They do have a specific pattern where they fly in, drop the water, and fly back out, so there's no air collisions.
Again, time for one more question, and then we'll move to closing remarks.
This is a more general question about fire prevention in the future. You said that a lot of the fire and the reason it's difficult to contain is because of the limited access due to the rough terrain, steep slopes. So what are you going to do about that in the future so it doesn't spread through the whole state park? Because I saw that some of the estimates online were up to 170,000 acres, and that can be pretty devastating for the wildlife too. I mean, obviously human lives first, but just wondering about what we're going to do in the future to prevent it getting so large.
So the question, just to make sure that everyone heard, was about fire prevention and what we're going to do to try to make sure that fires aren't devastating both to human lives as well as general ecology, plants and animals and such for this area. That falls upon all of us. Every single one of us out here is responsible for fire prevention on your property. There are a number of resources out there with the Fire Safe Council, CAL FIRE, Natural Resources Conservation Service, the Resource Conservation District, etc. There are a number of groups out there whose sole function is to assist property owners with fuel reduction activities and fire prevention to try to make sure that we are safer for the next time, because it's not a matter of if there's a fire, it's a matter of when. There will always be fires. And so this is an important part of the Ready, Set, Go campaign. You've heard it multiple times throughout this fire, and we've touched on it tonight. Being ready and being set to go in the event of an evacuation order, But part of the being ready side of it is the fire prevention side of it. It's not just having an exit drill in your home, but it's trying to make sure that you have defensible space around your home, hardening your structure to make sure that it is more resistant to fire. That also ties into the trying to make sure that the fires are smaller in general, or they're controlled in a manner that is still beneficial for the wildlife in the area. And I can certainly touch on that more afterward. If you want more specific information, you may certainly come to me. I'm Jonathan Pangburn. I'm the unit forester for San Benito Monterey unit of CAL FIRE.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. So we're going to move to closing comments in just a moment here. And again, sir, I understand your concern. I understand all of you are concerned. When we finish with the formal portion of the meeting, please take the opportunity to talk to the members of the management team, our cooperating partners. Come up and look at the maps and we can explain to you. We fight fires from rivers, ridges, and roads. And we can show you where those rivers, ridges, and roads are on the map. With that, I'll turn it over to Supervisor Dave Potter for some comments.
Thanks, Bill. I want to thank you guys all for being here tonight. And I say that because I think we know we're a community that at times has differing opinions. And at times we don't necessarily agree. But we do have an incredible history of coming together as a community at times of need. When our fellow residents, when our fellow citizens realize that we need to be strong to protect each other, we do that. And tonight's turnout here is indicative of the fact that we can work well as a community. We do work well, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to have represented you when we've had to do that in the past. This is not our first fire. Since I've been in office, we've had 4. We've had the Basin Fire, the Pfeiffer Fire, the Tasahara Fire, and now the Soberanes Fire. And one thing I want to point out, and the sheriff was good enough to point out Kathleen, who's been by my side for 14 years. We've been through this drill before. Kathleen has 2 small children. She gets up every morning at 5 o'clock, makes sure their day's set to go. She knows where they're going to be. And she makes the Toro briefing at 7 o'clock in Toro Park every single day. Hasn't missed a day. And I think that's something I'm proud of and we should be proud of as a community. I toured the fire lines today with Chief Blue and Kathleen and administration from the county. We went back into Pala, Colorado. We went back up into the Highlands. And I can tell you that I was impressed but also awestruck by the severity of that terrain. To put men and women in harm's way in that steep, steep terrain where easily you could be trapped back there with no way out is a challenge. And I don't think we should ever question these people's command authority when they go ahead and say it's not safe to put a firefighter back there. This fire is a beast unto itself. Most fires are predictable. You can tell where they're going to go based on whether this fire moves in any direction it wants, at any time it wants, with every level of intensity, and it varies on a daily basis. I want to say that I'm proud of my office. One of the things we did was we created a fire-specific web page that you can go to, 5th District Supervisor webpage. We've had 8,000 hits on that site since Saturday. It's your best source of information. We're not first responders, but we're the first people you call when you want information. I'd go to that site and you can link accordingly to any other resource you want for information. I'm not a big social media fan because I've been a victim of it at times, but I will say that in this instance, it's been absolutely incredible as a tool to provide the public the information they need. I'd close by saying there's one thing we should do tonight. And as you drive around this community, as you look on your streets and you start seeing these fire trucks and you realize, like, sure, we fight locally hard. We've got the Big Sur Fire Brigade, we've got Mid-Coast Fire, we've got Carmel Valley Fire, we've got Kashawa Fire. But if you look at some of those trucks that are out there, they're not from here. They're from all over the state of California, from towns I've never heard of, that come into this area, men and women that put their lives on the line to go ahead and protect your lives and your property. That's a commitment that these men and women make. And that's why I'm proud of what what I consider to be the highest level of public service I've ever seen. We've not had this organized command before. Basin Complex was not a study in organization, it was a study in disorganization. The Sheriff's Office, Highway Patrol, state and federal officials here representing this area in the way we should with coordinated communication. We've had 5 public meetings like this. We never had that before. And now, unfortunately, we've learned through drill, through unnecessary, unfortunate events, but we're doing a great job and we should be very, very proud of these individuals. I am. I hope you are too. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. And we're going to close with some final comments from the Unified Incident Commanders and agency representatives. From the Forest Service, Pete Harris. From the CAL FIRE San Benito Monterey Unit, Chief Blue. Unified Incident Commander Todd Durham and his Forest Service counterpart Jay Kurth.
So good evening. Day 10. It's been a long road, hasn't it? So just to put this in perspective, this fire is almost 20 miles long. So when we talk about putting in fire breaks and doing things like that, this is no easy task. I can assure you as a local unit that we have obviously put everything we can to protect your communities. We've dispatched firefighters from all over the state and even outside the state, and we are committed to making sure that we see this through. As you live in this community, you see how much the smoke has cleared to the west of us. That's a sign of our efforts, and it means we're working. We've turned a corner. We're not there yet. We still have a lot of work to do. There's going to be smoke in the sky for a long time, but you have my word and our commitment from every firefighter, all 5,000 that are out here right now, that we're going to tame this thing. It's going to be a long road, but we're going to get it done. So you just have to work with us. Please bear with us. It's a long task, but we're going to get there, and we'll get there together. I'm a local resident. I live here in the Carmel area, so I understand it impacts us too. Our kids are all going back to school next week. Hooray! But we'll get through this together. Thank you.